Greetings, Marsh here, and welcome to episode 36 of my modded Factorio playthrough. Since the last episode, I did some small factory upgrades, made sure all of the machines were all upgraded to the next tier since we finally have lots of resources, and I did some other small upgrades, most of which aren't really worth mentioning, like I upgraded the ammo production a little bit so it's a little faster and caught up with nickel and all of that. So from here on out, it's time to continue working on the bus and filling out the inventory. We're constructing most of the things that we need to make, but there's still a couple more things we can do. And before building anything on the bus, it's always worth seeing, can we make the next tier yet? And at least as it comes to power poles, as it turns out, we can. At least we can research the big poles. They do require concrete, however, but those upgrades are necessary for lots of other good stuff. So if we were able to make brass, we can make the tier 2. But I think we're making bronze right now. I always get that confused. Brass and bronze. I believe we're making the bronze. However, potentially could unlock accumulators, making batteries. Although it looks like we've still got quite a bit of research there. What about concrete? Yes, actually. It really wouldn't be that big a deal to make concrete. It depends on how we do it. I think there's several different ways we can go about it, because we can do concrete kind of the standard way, or we can do it the Angel's way. So making it from cement, you only need silicon and lime, and then you make the cement and add slag and water, and then you can make concrete, and then the concrete bricks if you wanted to do that. So basically, it doesn't require really any stone at all. Now, it requires slag, but it doesn't actually require stone products, which is kind of what makes it different from concrete here, which requires sand, and it's not washed sand, it's regular sand, so we have to make that from stone products, and then stone bricks from stone products. So it's kind of weird that it's like you can save stone by doing it with angels. But this is the easier way, so let's just do that for now. And we'll get hazard concrete, which is nice. So by the way, just concrete is 140% walk speed instead of 130, so it's actually better than stone bricks as far as walking surfaces. So it's worth upgrading the factory. And another interesting thing to note is that it multiplies your stone bricks. So 5 stone bricks go in, but 10 come out. So you actually like get more for your stone money. And the hazard concrete will be nice just to put markers down for where the bus is and where the undergrounds go and all that. And then we could take it a step further by going to refined concrete, but you see it's 20 concrete goes in and then 10 comes out. So then we kind of lose some of that efficiency of concrete. Also, it requires a ton of resources. So if you look here, we get 10 concrete, and all it requires is 1 iron. But to get 10 refined concrete, not only do we need 20 concrete, but we need those 4 iron plates and a steel. So it takes a lot more. So it's not really worth it, but... Okay, we've got some things to research here. It might take a little while, unfortunately. Let's research the poles. So we'll research mediums, and mediums are upgraded from small, so that's why I wanted to look at this. So if we're making medium poles, we need to make small ones as well. And then we want to make the big ones, which don't actually come from the other 2 poles, but it makes sense to make them in the same part of the bus. So we need to research concrete, which we will do. And then finally, we can get those big poles. So how fast is that going to go? Oh, it's actually pretty fast. Okay, well, we can use Hellmod to plan this out, and by the time we're done with that, I'm sure all that research is going to be ready. Let's create another block here. Alright, let's select the big electric pole. And let's just say 1 assembler. That's quite a lot of resources we'll have no hope of ever keeping up with, but that's okay. And medium poles are done just on time. So there we go. There's the medium poles. Just say 1. So it also requires some steel, more iron rods, and whatnot, but let's do the small ones. We don't really need small ones anymore. There's really no point to using them. But we still gotta make them. And it's 1. So it's 1 to 1 to 1. That's easy enough. Well, now that we're down to the intermediates, we can figure out how much of that we need. So we need 12 copper plates worth going in. So 6 machines, and then for the rods, 7 assemblers. That's actually a cleaner recipe than I was expecting it to be. And then we'll worry about the concrete later. Just need to remember that we need to bring it in on a belt somewhere. So the pole setup's probably going to look quite similar to the inserters here, where it just kind of goes up in a straight line. So the first one makes the small poles, but it has to be the iron poles right there. And the second one makes medium poles, and then the last one will be the big poles. So it looks like we need to bring iron rods and cable. Let's do that on each side. Okay. Looks like it's going to be yellow goes in, red goes out. So we can bring the steel up here. And they're very similar amount of copper cable for the other side. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Just need the concrete right here. He seems pretty good. It's just a little too cramped up there, so let's move it back. Oh, excellent. Research is done. Let's do it right there. Okay, let's get the simple things belted in here. Now we need to make concrete. Start a new block again. Let's just say hazard concrete. 1 building, which actually produces an immense amount of the stuff. Well, that's probably a bit overkill. Well, let's see what the ratio ends up being. Okay, so we make sand from stone. Iron rods from iron plates. And then we need lots of stone bricks. I wonder what the full output of bricks is right now for the factory. Well, this is a little outdated, but it says 12. Let's see, what else does concrete go into? Substation, beacons, walls, roboports, warehouses. It goes into a little bit of stuff. Well, since it's a perfect ratio, I'll just use it, and hopefully it's not too big, if there is such a thing in Factorio. So the most massive element of it is going to be these 40 assembly machines. So let's make a block out of those. Okay, there's a setup of 10 assembly machines. Seems to work pretty well. Where the 2 belts on that side are going to be sand and stone. Then the iron rods can come up through there. And then the output of concrete will come down here. And actually, this is not a terrible spot to put it. There's really not much here, so it's probably okay just to put it here. Oh hey, sapphirite is out. Our sapphirite vein, anyway. So now we're down to what we've been mining in our faraway base, and it's already down to 92%, so we're going to have to start doing some sulfur mining soon to do the infinite ores. But now we should be able to copy this, put it here, but flip the sides. Like that. Then we need to copy this one more time. Okay, there we go. A block of 40. So let's get the intermediates in here. From below, it's going to come iron rods. We need 2 machines doing that. But we can probably just take it from the top of this right here and keep going. Okay, let's say something like this. You can already see from down there we need 1 yellow going in and a red going out. Okay, a splitter. And we need 10 machines making sand from stone, which are right here. Since this stone brick belt isn't actually connected to anything, I'm going to pick it up for now. I know it's got a spot on the bus, but we haven't used it yet. So I'm going to pull it up and send it through here. Now we got to get this sand taken care of. 10 machines with a yellow going in and a red going out. Okay, I'd like to line it up with this if possible. Oh, we're getting attacked. It's that one again. It's holding up for now. Right there. Guess we need lots of lights in here too. Okay, so that's sand, stone bricks, iron rods. And we need to do the water, but also we need the final assembling machine to make hazard concrete. The output comes through here. Looks like concrete is right there. Let's just line that up. I'm not going to move everything for that one square. And then we need one last machine that can't quite possibly keep up. Let's see, let's put it right there. That'll be our hazard concrete. It's probably a good opportunity to use a silo. Right there. And 3 stacks going in, 3 stacks going out, and then the silo we select how much we want, but hazard concrete probably only want like 1 stack for now. But we need all those inserters to be able to insert into there. I think that's all the stuff. Well, let's start hooking things up and see how it works. Some things won't be very exciting, like stone bricks. Oh yes, we need to hook up water too. Well, that's easy enough. Looks like the closer water is probably over here. So 300 is 1 offshore pump's worth. Okay, it's slowly filling everything up. The bricks are loaded. Alright, let's check iron. So first, these guys are probably going to monopolize it all. Oops. We need a inserter here, I believe. Seems fine. Let that collect up. Yeah, we're going to be producing 30 concrete per second, which means we need to make this red. At least up until this point. In addition, this part needs to be red. Okay. Let's hook up the stone. And make this yellow. At least up until that point. Nice and fast. And when we add sand, this should all fire up. Let's disconnect that right there. Let it fill up. Stone is not coming in very fast because there's just not many resources. I think if we had a stone silo that could absorb the buffer, similar to how there's a silo here for the stone bricks. Basically, we'd only be producing stone in real time, and that wouldn't work out too well. Keeping this at a good speed, so let's say, yeah, a line. Uh-oh. We're still holding. Yeah, we're just not using very much resources right now, so there's not much stone to throw at this. So performance testing might be difficult, unless this thing is going to completely stack up full of concrete. Okay, it doesn't. Just stays at 40. Alright. For now, I'm going to turn this off so we can see how it works for making all of our power poles and whatnot. Okay. Bring in the copper. Okay, so far so good. And finally steel. Seems mostly green. It looks like the problem this is having is getting enough rods. I wonder if telling this to go up this way would help. It's kind of janky to do it that way, but it might work. Well, it filled up so quick it's hard to tell. Well, let's grab our stack of each and then see what happens. What's it running out of? Steel. Okay, so this is kind of inserter limited. Man, it's all stack inserters and still kind of limited, but... well, that should work. Let's see, let's move things around a little bit here. Because now... we have regular power poles and the big ones. So if you are unaware of the differences... let's see, I guess I will grab... I'll just grab the whole stack and put them back in there. It's basically wire reach and supply area. So if you look, These ones have a reach of 7.5, as it says, or a supply area of 5 by 5, so they can't quite, you see how it leaves empty spaces in there and whatnot? Well, if we do these guys, they still have empty spaces because of their wire reach, but you can see how they cover a larger area and there's a bigger distance between poles. So when that comes in handy is in situations like this or here, where with the medium pole you can put 3 of these small assembly machines or 2 of the bigger ones between the poles, because they have a reach that goes halfway down. But if you use this guy, it wouldn't work. You wouldn't be able to cover that middle one. So there's a couple setups before where we had to make sacrifices based on the power poles. That won't occur anymore, and since they take up 1 square, there's really no reason to use the small ones anymore. Now the big ones have a really small coverage areas, so they're terrible for that. What they are good for is wire reach. So they go 30 squares, which is convenient. It's a lot better than having little things like that, especially when you're like, you have a car and you're driving around. It makes it much easier to not crash into things when you have that long reach. Now, I'm not going to bother upgrading the factory and replacing all of the small iron poles with medium ones. I could do that with like Upgrade Planner, but it's just kind of overkill. It's not really necessary. But what I am going to do is replace the long stretches of wires. Things like these. Just so it's a little more convenient and less likely to crash into them with the car. And also, let's fire this up and let it go making hazard concrete. And we also need to suck up the rest of this concrete. Let's see, since we have the 1 silo here, let's just make another one. Put it underneath. As far as concrete goes, we want less than the maximum amount. With bricks, we wanted bricks set to maximum, or at least when this wasn't set up that way, because it was somewhere for all of the resources to go, basically. It was a buffer. Because otherwise, if we don't have somewhere to dump all this stone, eventually it's all going to clog up. But now that we do have some buffers, it should be less of a problem. So we don't want to put everything into concrete, because concrete does go into a couple things. It goes into 21 things. If you start stone brick, it goes into 66. So there's a lot more things that stone goes into than concrete. So it's something to kind of keep in mind. So that's why I'm going to limit it there. I'll put the high speed right here. So we have some concrete, and already got 1,000 hazard concrete. So first concrete. You can place it down, and it'll pick up the regular bricks. I don't know if you can tell, but we do walk a little faster on it. And the cars will drive faster on it too. So assuming you've got the resources to make it, you might as well replace the factory with the stuff. And then there's also hazard concrete, which if you hit R or whatever your rotate key is, you can determine which direction you want the swatches to go. So you can make patterns or whatever if you want to. You pick them up and they go back to hazard concrete. But the most useful aspect of this is now, I don't know which direction I want them to go. Now we can just drag this down along our bus. So now we know the place not to build because it needs to be reserved for the undergrounds. So I'm going to go through the factory real quick and both replace these hazard concretes here and also any power poles that need to be upgraded. On the next episode, we're going to build some more things on the bus, including the much desired circuit network. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.